Hey everyone, welcome back. So in the previous video, we have talked about what pull request is, how we can create a pull request, how we can add the reviewers, and more about pull request. And then we talked about how we can create the how we can delete the branches either from local or remote repository. Here, what we are going to talk about some GIT configuration commands which are very important here. So we need to configure few things before we get started with the GIT. Even if you have not configured, that is also not going to create a problem. But as a best practice, we should always configure our username and our email as well. I'll show you where this configuration is like showing in the GitHub. Then we are going to talk about how we can create the existing repository, how we can clone that. So basically, what we did till now is we created the repository inside Salesforce and then we uploaded to the not Salesforce. We created the repo inside our local and then we uploaded to our GitHub. Now, suppose that if you are working for a project that already have a repository, so how you can get that data into your Salesforce? We are going to see that. For that, there is command called git clone and the name of your repository, the URL of your repository. Then we will see how we can see the logs, how we can see the commit messages into the GitHub. Then we will see how we can check the differences between the files. Then what is an stash command and what is a geographical interface, how you can use that geographical interface inside GIT. So let's quickly start from the GIT config command. So here you can see that this is our repository where we are working in. If you go to any commits, let's quickly go to the let's quickly see here what we have got. So we've got this pull request. You can see here the user, it is saying that this is the user who has committed initial commit. Okay, if you go to some other branch, let's say we are going to the master branch, you can see here we have got multiple commits and it is saying that Amit STEIT, this is the user who has made the commit into these files. How the GitHub will know that this is the user who is making the commit? For that, we have to configure the variables, the global variables inside our repository in our command prompt basically. So for that, what we will use is we will use git config hyphen hyphen global. We'll say that user dot name and you can say that Amit Singh. Okay, you just hit enter, you've got the name here. Okay, now you need to configure the email, so you'll say that git config, we'll say that hyphen hyphen global, we'll say user dot email. You need to use the email which you have used to create the GitHub account. If you don't, if you use any other email, it is going to show you some different name. What different name it will show? Let me show you here for the first time. So if you don't configure the username, that's how it is going to show into the repository. So I already have an existing repository which where I'm trying to put some hands-on, like basically some small utilities. So if you go here, you can see here, that's how you will see like whatever the user that you have here. Okay, it is not going to reflect the actual user which is committing. It is saying the random DevOps demo. At times I configure this and uh, it is not associating with the actual user which I am doing. So in order to do that, you need to say whatever your exact email ID is. So my email ID is something this, and I'm done. So I just did the configuration. Suppose that I'm just changing this and after changing we'll see how actually it is impacting. So I'll say that my email is sfdcpanther@gmail.com. Then what we'll do is we'll say that notepad, let's quickly try to create a new file. So we'll say that new file .txt. We'll say that, okay, I'm going to save, and let's put some sample things over here. We'll see in which branch we are in. We'll say that we are in, okay, there was a typo mistake, so we are in master branch. We'll push to the master branch itself. We'll say that git add dot. Before that, as a best practice, always run this command called git status. You've got this file, so that git add dot, put a commit over here, hit enter, and then push here. So we'll say that git push origin master. If there are any changes, you can see it is saying that first thing we need to pull, so we will basically pull the changes. So we'll say git pull origin master, and after we have got the latest changes from the master, then we will push to the master again with our changes, that what changes we have got. Now it has pushed the changes to the master. Let's quickly see here. We'll try to refresh this. Okay, and if you scroll down here, okay, this is not our branch. We'll go to our actual branch which we are working in, and the name of our branch is the deployment course demo. Yeah, this is the one. So now we'll come to our master branch. So you can see here it is saying that random DevOps demo. Now we have got two different uses. Okay, let's quickly see here. We'll go here. It is just taking not in the master, in not in main, in the master. You can see now I have made these commits with this user, which is random DevOps demo. So that is how that email configuration is very important while you are trying to configure your global configurations for the username and your emails. So that's the one thing that we need to discuss. Next thing that we have is how to clone the existing repository. Okay, so let's quickly see this as well. So let's quickly went to the previous repository that we had. So this is our repository, basically Salesforce shorthands. Okay, and you can also find this repository which is public, so you can also use the same repo here to in order to use for this demo purpose. What you need to do is just copy this URL, go to the location where you wanted to clone here. So we wanted to clone under the GIT folder. Open the cmd command prompt, say git clone. The command is same for any operating system, either Windows, Linux or Mac. Git clone and the URL. You can also put git at the end of your .git and the end of your URL. Hit enter and it has started cloning all those things. And let me close here. We have found the project called Salesforce shorthands with all the things that we have got, sfdx src, and under that we have got all the utilities. So that is how you can quickly clone your existing repository which is sitting there on the GitHub site. The next thing that we wanted to see is logs, commits. How you can see, if you wanted to see all the commits inside a branch, how you can do that? You say that git log. Okay, it is going to show you all the logs, all the commits who has made with all the proper messages in which branch you have made. If you wanted to quit, just press Q and it is going to quit. Okay, that this is very simple. If you wanted to see in the paragraph, you will say that git log -p. It is going to show you with the proper changes and everything. Here you will see what actually what changed in the file and what was the new, every single information about that you will be able to see that. And apart from that, if you wanted to see in the form of graph, you will say that git log -graph. And you can see here now it is saying that how actually the flow went from which branch to which branch, from which branch, every single thing you will be able to see in the form of a graph over here. Okay, that is how you actually work with the logs. Now let's what next topic we had. Yeah, now we wanted to see the difference between the files, what actually the difference is there between the files that we have modified. So let's quickly see that as well. So what we'll do is we'll go to our first repository and we'll try to make the changes under this file, any of the txt file. Let's quickly copy this and paste some random lines over here and save it. Now you have made the changes. If you wanted to see the difference between the files, what you need to do is you need to say git diff, and it is going to tell you what was the difference. This was earlier there, this line was earlier there, and these lines were added. Okay, this is how it is working. Now suppose that if I open any other file, okay, I'm going to remove this one line, I just delete it. Now if I wanted to see the difference, you will see there are two files. First thing is copy to, second thing is copy txt. What was there earlier, I removed these two lines and this is the new line. Okay, and then in here this was the existing line and then these are the new lines. That's how you use git difference to find the actual difference between the files, and this is very important while you are trying to resolve a merge conflict. Now we had a concept of stash. So here is the concept of stats. What exactly stats does? So let's quickly first talk about and then we'll implement this. So suppose that you are working on a feature called F1. Okay, you had developed few files. Suppose that you have added 3 or 4 files here. Okay, now you have got some urgent feature called F2, feature 2, where you need to start development, and the branch is same, you're on the same branch, so you cannot commit those changes, because if you commit the changes, those will definitely go to the remote branch when you will try to push. So how you will save those changes? Because there might be multiple files, you have got 10 or you have got hundreds of files, you have got thousands of files that you have already done. So how you will do that? So for this, before starting this new work, what you will do is you will run a stash command over here, and what this stash will do is it is going to save the copy of your working file in a different area where it will keep those files safe. You can start working here, you can keep adding the files 1 2 3 or whatever the files. You can do the commit, you can do the post, after committing you can just post them. You can test them, you can make those live. Once you made those live, you can again run a command for apply the changes, and those new files, the files that you have created earlier will pop up over here, and then you can start working on those files again. So let's quickly see how it is going to do. So as you have seen, like we have already seen, we have got these files which are already modified. Now I wanted to work on a different feature. How I'm going to do that? I'm going to say that git stash, and it is going to save here. You can see saved the working directory. And now if you say git status, there is nothing. You can add a new files. Okay, you can say that let's say that I'm just going to add a new file 123.txt. I just added a new file over here, saved it. Now what I'll do is I'll just say that git add dot git commit hyphen m. We'll say that test stash commands, and then we'll push to the master. We'll say that git push origin master. So once we are done with the changes, now we wanted to again work with those files which we earlier worked. So what we'll say that git stash apply. Okay, there is an error. It should be apply. Yep, you can see here. Now again the files are here. You'll say, if you say git status, you will be able to see that these are your files that you have got. Okay, so that is how the stash works. This is very important concept because we have already discussed the use case when to use stash in your git repository inside for a particular branch that you can have. The next thing and the last topic about the GIT is the graphical interface of your GIT. There are some tools that you can use, but we are talking about the commands. So we'll talk about how we can use a command to see the graphical interface about the commits, about the log messages. So there is a very simple command called GITK. It is going to open the UI for you, and you will be able to see every single thing in the geographical format. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly run the command called GITK. It might ask for the first time, it might ask for the permission. Please do allow, and you will be able to see every single thing over here. So let me give it a room for you, and let me see if I can okay, I'm not able to do that. So basically if you see over here, you have got every single thing, like how the branches went, how you created all those things, who did the commit, when did the commit, every single information about your file is also here. So you can also use this command. This is again very helpful command if you're not using any tools, like the tool name I completely forgot that, but yeah, there is a tool name which you can use to see all these geographical things. But if you don't have a tool, you don't want it to install that, you can use this. So this is all about the GIT things in this course. There are a few things that I haven't touched, like merge request and merge conflicts, because as a part of deployment you won't be working on that side, but still I have covered many of the things as part of this course. And this is it for this video, and in the coming video we are going to talk about few branching strategy, and then we'll start with the Jenkins and we'll actually implement CI/CD with the help of GitHub. So hope to see you into the next videos. Thank you.